Hey, what's up, everybody? I didn't post a video yesterday, so I don't want to get out of the. It's kind of late today, but I didn't want to get out of the momentum of posting videos, and I feel like um, Spirit Source has some information that they want me to share, just about political correctness triggers. This whole idea of political correctness is like people need to be talked to in a certain way, or we don't talk about certain things. For instance, like politics is never talked about at social gatherings or family gatherings, or, I mean, obviously people talk about it, but it's kind of like a lot of people won't talk about it because of the drama that it can stir up. And, I get it. Nobody likes drama, but I think, with triggers, people can be triggered by, almost anything. If I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat, uh, you might get triggered by just the fact that I'm a Republican, but at the same time, I'm a human. And we all kind of have our own opinions and values, and but we have to be careful about the news feeds that we watch and who we subscribe to, because it's a lot of it's just propaganda. I've noticed, I've been on both sides actually, Democrat and Republican, and I don't identify with either, but I noticed even within myself that Democrats kind of get fed a certain feed. Um, you know, Trump did this, or so and so did that, Kerry did this, and here's what we're doing. I mean, yeah, and they're kind of like feeding you a perspective that you should have, and then you take those arguments to other people at social gatherings and say, well, Biden did this, and and Trump did that, and um, but then the other person is watching their feed, maybe the Republican feed, and they're saying all these bad things about Biden, and so the military industrial complex. Now this video might be taken down. I don't even know what I should be saying on here. Um, is feeding information to mainstream media, which then you receive on your end. But they're feeding it to you with a specific purpose. It's not like, oh, this event happened. How should we think about that? In what ways should we react? Instead, they feed you with an opinion already. Well, this is absurd. We can't stand for these kind of things. This is, contradictory to the American ethics or something. The what is it? Um, the Bill of Rights, or to our amendments and Constitution. That's the word I was thinking of. It's it's against the Constitution and what we stand for, and I think we should be forming our own opinions about some of these things, and instead of being told how to feel, how to think about certain things. And so this kind of went a direction I didn't anticipate, but I'm just kind of going with it. Um, so, I mean, I guess stand in your power, think for yourself. When you feel somebody's telling you what to do or how to think or how to feel, um, there's one thing with our society right now is opinions. Everybody's got an opinion, and there's a saying, opinions are like a-holes. Everybody's got one. That's our society right now, because we're overstimulated with information. Never have we had in the history of the earth, I think, so much information available at our hands, and we're just constantly taking in information, And so we've also, because we've taken in so much information, we've got opinions about a lot of things. And I think we just need to um, be less opinionated, but also be less triggered. And a lot of that has to do with the triggers working through your traumas and stuff. How do you do that? I mean, there's many ways that you could do that. You can see a therapist. You can do um, healing on yourself. You can go to other healers that can maybe heal some of the trauma or help you work through some of the trauma. Um, I myself took a course with Ann Tucker called Soul Convergence, and um, just did meditations while the angels, these high frequency beings, come in and work on you, and they're just kind of pulling out part trauma. Did they do all the work for me? Hell no. I would say they were the catalyst. They, you know, if I've got a bunch of trauma bubbles within me, they pop the bubble, and then I'm feeling these emotions that I haven't felt in a long time, if ever, in some instances. Because in some instances, I was feeling like past life stuff that um, just it's a part of me, but I didn't experience that in this lifetime. Um, I don't know if I experienced it in another lifetime. I don't know if that maybe I experienced it in another lifetime, or maybe it's part of the DNA that I took, and I'm not really sure about that. But um, it's important to be able to talk about politics and other things because these are, at least right now, they're such a guiding force in our life. They can make you or break you, depending on who gets in office. And really, we've been kind of spoon fed what to think, what to feel, but also I think that I don't even know how I should say this. The elections haven't really been the most honest of elections. I don't know if there's been a time in the last 100 years where we actually chose the president that we wanted. And it's not just the United States, it's really around the world. Um, and so, I think it's very important that we're able to talk about this with each other, but keeping an open mind and not being opinionated, not jumping to conclusions on things, which I've had conversations with people at parties and stuff, and it gets kind of awkward. Um, I was talking to a guy about Trump, and he was like a Biden supporter, and I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. But let me ask you a question: how did Biden do with the economy the last 4 years he was in office? For those in the USA, I feel like the economy is worse. I don't know again what the propaganda machine is feeding you in your news feeds. Um, I hate to admit this, but I voted for Biden before I found out kind of who Trump really was, and Penny Kelly kind of opened that up to me of like, oh, here's what he's actually trying to do. And he actually is trying to drain the swamp. I thought he was just another politician, another billionaire who, and I would say this to people, I thought he um, instead of having to bribe people in, he was the one that was now he's in the position. He doesn't have to pay anybody anymore. He can do whatever he wants with the country. And anyways, I don't know where I'm going with this, but this whole political correctness thing, I feel like started. It's like, all of society or whoever adheres to these rules of political correctness are walking on eggshells of like, "No, don't talk about this, don't talk about that. You might trigger somebody." And I just think we need to be more of an open society, and maybe that'll happen with the healing and stuff, which I mean, that could take years. And I don't know how long, 20, 50, 100 years, hundreds of years, before that actually happens. But maybe sooner, maybe it's just a couple years. Um, yeah, so I don't know that I have much more to say about this. Um, Politics are important, though. You know, they can determine whether you can, maybe whether you have sovereignty or whether you're being controlled. Um, you know, there's some rules that are so ridiculous these days that you can't even collect rainwater. Like, who owns the sky? Who owns the rainwater that comes down? Apparently the government does, or something, because if you try to collect it, you're in trouble. Um, but that's the government, in my opinion, overstepping their bounds. But that's the government, yeah, overstepping their bounds. They're telling us what to do when we should be deciding for ourselves. And again, not everybody that we voted for or wanted in office was elected by us, but we need to start paying attention for the future. We can't be thinking and talking in the past about, we can't be defeatists. We can't be talking like it's not worth it to vote. We need to be voting. We need to be taking more action in our politics. Um, Maybe more of us need to be standing up and being those uncorruptible politicians who stand up for our rights and what we want in this modern world. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it there. But if anybody came across this video that found it helpful, I would say if you came across this video, you needed to hear it for one reason or another. Um, trust that. Trust that you needed to hear it. And maybe put some thought and action behind what I said, and making a decision. Yeah, I'll just say that. And if you have any suggestions for anything I should talk about in the future, open to suggestions, leave it in the comments. Please like the video if you like what I had to say. Subscribe if you like this kind of, if you like the things I'm talking about. I'll talk about more of this stuff, and not necessarily about political correctness, but I don't know. Um, you know, way showing, I guess, is kind of what I'm here to do, and that's, um, we're really off the beaten path from where we should be, and so I think part of what I'm trying to do is show you how we can be, how we could be, not how we should be, but how we could be, um, and don't let the past um, guide us into the future. We can create a new path, and we should, and I think we will. So yeah, I appreciate you listening. If you stayed this far to the end, have a great day. See you guys later.